So it's about time we talk about Virgos. I know I'm a little bit late into Virgo season, but we're here. I was writing down some Virgo stereotypes and trying to unpack them. Honestly, there was quite a lot. This sign does have quite a lot of stereotypes that are all kind of going back to the same thing, which is that Virgos are kind of like I don't know what else would kind of like autistic core, like where they're kind of robotic in their ways and don't really have a heart. That's just one kind of stereotype. Before I get into this, I just would like to preface by saying that when I'm talking about Virgos, I'm just defending, like, as I like to say, high vibe Virgos, so people that are like not toxic individuals where their Virgo traits are manifesting in positive ways rather than negative ways. So yes, of course, every sign is going to have its goods and bads. We're mostly defending Virgo traits that, typically get attacked or misunderstood. Let's just start off by saying that, by ripping the band-aid, by mentioning that Virgos actually are complete sweetheart babies. Like, they're sweethearts, and this often goes overlooked, and the focus tends to be on their more analytical and judgy side. That exists, but their sweetness, I've known quite a few Virgos. I'm actually staying with a Virgo right now, so I'm living with them, and Virgo's sweetness can typically be covered up by irony and dry humor and just action. So a lot of people don't often see this sweet side to them because maybe they don't know the Virgo that well. But Virgos are all about helping others, all about the dedication of improving things, of helping situations, of problem solving. I just want to start this video off by saying that Virgos are actually one of the sweetest signs, one of the most generous signs, because I think one of the stereotypes is that Virgos can be a little bit self-involved and selfish, when that's really untrue. One way that I see Virgos really expressing affection and themselves is through things that are physical. So if you're looking at love languages, Virgos are the ones to express their love through acts of service, helping you. So their love language can show up in ways that feels kind of subtle or not as direct. And so it goes missed that they're actually being very kind and generous, just in ways that maybe get overlooked. Now, there is a stereotype that Virgos are complete control freaks and that they're really bossy and intrusive with other people's problems. I'm not gonna say that they're not, but unpack kind of why that has grown into a stereotype. One thing to know about Virgos is that they need a system and they thrive off of the system. And if they don't have some kind of systematic way of understanding something or functioning in this world, then that is very anxiety ridden to them and very off-putting, and kind of sends them into great place. And even if that system is chaotic, even if that system looks messy, if the system makes sensical, logical sense to them, then that works for them. But when they're around other people who have different systems, or systems that are nonsensical, or they just don't have systems at all in place, around messier people or whatever, then things can get a little bit ugly, because a little bit of conflict, a little bit of that. So they can come across as a little bit uptight, a little bit pushy, and not respecting other people's ways of doing things. But really, this just comes from a place of they feel very off-centered if they don't have systems, some sort of way to do things, some sort of plan in place. Or else I guess I'm really anxious and stuff. And that brings me to next stereotype, that Virgos are really anxious or overly anxious and like overthinking. Yeah, Virgos are a very like ish earth sign, if that makes sense. I believe they're like mutable. Um, and they are ruled by Mercury, so that's not a surprise that they come across as very like focused on the mind. They can very much overthink. In the case, many Virgos, you can't even tell that they're anxious about things. They're really good at hiding that or just kind of internalizing that. And they don't really expose that part of themselves either by choice or just because of other placements. And Virgo is an earth sign, so they're going to be more grounded looking within their anxieties, if that makes sense. Going more into how Virgos can be very intrusive with others, of being kind of nitpicky with others, being kind of like that mom energy of like, I want you to do this thing, help you, and because like I think that you should do it. Reason that Virgos are really nitpicky, especially to their partners and stuff, is that Virgos love improvements. Often you will see Virgos be really into like health kicks, really into like exercising, eating well, being in like a nice environment. They really, really care about that. And so their love for that and their understanding that, oh, this makes my life so much more functional, goes so much more smoothly, I just feel better. They really want to kind of spread the message of that and help other people get their life in order and to feel as best as they can. And so they'll kind of like point out ways that people can improve their life, or like point out something that they think the other person doesn't realize that they do in their habits. And they're not doing this to kind of like point out a flaw and be like, oh, you're like doing something wrong. It comes from a place of like, I think you're doing this thing, but like I can help you like improve that, and I can help you replace that with something that's like better, so your life can be more functional. Like they are truly more all about functionality, because that is where they get a lot of their pleasure and a lot of like their security, safety, just general enjoyment of life. They love functional systems in place. Yeah, like kind of support or that kind of constructive criticism is not always welcome, and they may not always notice that. Virgos, they are the helpers. They just want to help you. They are really good at helping, well, not all the time, but they can be really good at helping themselves. And so they really just want to spread that and help others. Or, you know, they might have a complex where they just really, really want to people please. And so they're going to do anything for you and like they're very, very detail oriented and can notice details about you that you might not even notice, and kind of use those to their advantage to like be super generous towards you, or like notice that you like this thing, so they go find that thing and give it to you, or notice that you like a certain trait in someone, and so they try to kind of be that for you, etc. They're always like looking for ways that they can make life easier for you if they really like you, or like also if they're very insecure and want to prove to you that you're worth their time and worthy, because Virgos very much care about if they're useful or not. If they're not useful, then they feel like something is kind of stripped away from them, that they're not really worthy of a person. There's a whole thing. Now, another very popular stereotype about Virgos is that Virgos are very argumentative, and they're argumentative for no reason other than to just be, you know, like an annoying debate student or like a philosophy student. I don't know. They are very good at arguments, I will say. A lot of Virgos, because they are ruled by Mercury, that is a very good placement to have, because language is essentially a system. Virgos really understand systems, especially if they make sense. They're good at using their words, good like manipulators in that way. They're very good at getting their point across in very simple ways. So they're very, very good communicators. Win pretty much any arguments, which can annoy people, you know, that really gets the ego. They can annoy people, especially if they're the type to constantly point out flaws in an argument. Like if they're not actually like getting into the argument like that person wants, but they're pointing out, oh, the basis of this, like this is kind of incorrect, or this doesn't make sense because of this. Which they make for very good philosophers and people that are like into logic or like math and stuff. Virgos are purposely trying to frustrate you when they are arguing your points or pointing out flaws within your argument. For them, like they can't quite comprehend or kind of function with an idea that does not actually have a concrete basis. Because remember, they're an Earth sign. So if it's not actually based off something real and true and practical, then what are you even getting at? So they're just trying to kind of get to the bottom. Like they're very much why individuals, like similar to a Gemini, but Geminis are a little bit more flighty with their opinions. Virgos are like to find like objective reasoning, how this can get to that, you know? Interesting stereotype that I kind of come across is that Virgos are either seen as really innocent and they don't know anything and they're not really experienced, or the opposite of that, and Virgos are really mean and manipulative and like don't care about anyone. And I think, yes, people's essence can manifest into different versions of that, but you are not completely understanding of Virgo if you're not seeing that both of these things can exist in one. Like I said, Virgos are really sweet. However, they're very like calculated in their ways, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Detail oriented, so they're going to notice a lot of things, and which makes them very, very smart. They're very intelligent. And so when you place like, oh, that person's like innocent, naive because they're a Virgo, like, no. There's actually like a lot of Virgos that I've met aren't huge talkers or maybe a little bit shy, and so people can maybe assume, oh, they're not that smart, they don't really have much to say, they're kind of boring. Really, I find a lot of Virgos don't really say anything if there's nothing to really contribute to the conversation. If like they're not mentally stimulated, then why would they really speak up just to speak, you know? And you know, I also noticed that Virgos really get caught up in the mundane details of things, but they get very like excited about the mundane, or they find the mundane very interesting to talk about it and talk about it with great importance, which can annoy people. That can be boring, caught up in that kind of conversation. Back to like the innocent versus like evil thing, kind of both, weirdly. Are kind people, but in a way that is not super obvious, like that you see with like, I don't know, Pisces or something. There's always more to a Virgo, and Virgos are very good at keeping things private and parts of themselves private, whether they're meaning to do that or not. And so a lot of people just assume the best or worst of a Virgo when really there's a lot. They're deeper than people give them credit for. People often view Virgos as like a very shallow sign. They're actually quite complicated, and to be honest, I have like difficulty really describing the complexities of a Virgo because I don't even fully truly understand the Virgo because I don't really have any Virgo placements myself, you know. They kind of remind me Capricorns in the fact that their humor is very like be very specific humor, like a little bit dark or ironic or based off like a lot of like memes and life things, can have an air of innocence or naivete. I think that kind of stems from like their sign being the virgins, so it's like, oh well, they don't have any experience, right? It's not always the case. I hope I hope I cleared up some of the stereotypes of Virgo, where they kind of come from, of just kind of talking about them more, to kind of defend them. My videos are very un-Virgo like, where I just kind of flit all over the place, working on it, but my fucking Mercury is in Aquarius, so you know it's just a fucking nightmare sometimes to comprehend. So I really hope that that was comprehensible to you, that you got something out of it, that you can better understand your Virgo people. Let me know if you resonate to this as someone with a lot of Virgo placements. Let me know. You are a sweetheart, and you don't get that told that enough, and I know that might make you feel uncomfortable. But you're so generous. You don't get enough credit for it. You're so good. You're so good. Okay. See you in my next video. Bye.